you once mentioned there probably be a recession in the second half of this year. Do you still hold that view? How do you see the macro economy?
Again, that's a good question. I started my career as an analyst in the 1960s in the United States. And at that time, you had cycles every 3 or 4 years. So I learned how to invest in those cycles. To the degree there's the banks in the United States today are going to have some issues with regards to lending money, you will have economic challenges. But let's go back to basics. What is a recession? The way the economists, not me, but the economists define it is you have a decline in real GDP for 2 years. Okay, but my companies are the companies that I own for my clients. They have seen, like Pepsi-Cola, their product is down in units, but because they raised price, their nominal revenues are stronger. So we look at companies that have pricing power in this environment and where the customer is not going to object to paying a little more. The second part, so I'm not worried about an economic slowdown. On the other side, we have to look at the following. China, in 1982, when I was first there, was a small percentage of the world GDP. Today, based on international monetary data, China in 2024 will be 20% of the world GDP. So if China recovers in the second half of this year, faster than what I was thinking maybe a year ago, then you have a ballast to the global economy. Okay, so they're going to need stuff. And one of the things they do is they'll import, food, copper, and so on. And so that's a plus. However, since we might have talked about the banks in the United States, we're not prepared for a sharp rise in interest rates. And as a result of that, if they made a loan to you for 10 years at 3%, that loan has lower value. That loan, however, was not written off against their income statement.
I heard you also mentioned you always want to look for a good company with good valuation, with good management at decent valuation.
Yes.
And you also mentioned right now the valuation in China is getting interested.
Yes.
So are you looking at any investment opportunities in China now?
Yeah, we are. Our analyst, just attended a conference on Shanghai on autos. He did it virtual though. But we'd like to go see the companies at their headquarters. So, for example, we need more children in China. So who makes baby products? Good Baby. Okay, they're in, stock is selling at XYZ and we bought a little bit. Okay, and so we're looking at that. Then obviously you have the Macau recovery, more tourism and more traffic. And so those are the types of companies that we're looking at. Which companies also have lithium? That is a necessary ingredient in a battery for the electric vehicles. So those are the things that we look at.
A little bird told me you used to invest in Maotai, the wine brand. Do you still hold that stake?
The price went up sharply. The company is called Baidu. Maotai is but the product is Baidu. And I don't know if we still have, if we have it, it's a little bit, because we follow whatever you drink anywhere in the world, wine, water, beer, soda, and so we like that, and we cover those companies.
Some of our audiences also invest in the U.S. stock market, and the market is betting the Federal Reserve is near the end of this tightening cycle. What do you see that means for the U.S. stock market?
We think a long time, okay? Americans have a passion for sports, baseball, so we like that. In addition to that, there's a company called the Atlanta Braves. That's the name of a team in Atlanta that is going to be sold, and you can buy the stock. It's gone from 30 to 39, but you'll get $45 to $50. So you make 10%, but have some fun watching the game. Then The United States will have an election next year, and candidates will spend a lot of money on television. So the stocks that I like are those that have the TV stations I'll make 50% on one of them called Tegna, T-E-G-N-A. T-E-G-N-A, the symbol is TGNA. There's 200 million shares. The stock is 16. A year from now, they will earn over $3. The stock will be 24. Right now, there's a deal on the table of 24, but the government, the agency that, not the SA, not SAMR, but a U.S. equivalent is holding it up. And if that deal doesn't go through, you'll still make it in the public market. So it's a win-win. And there are other companies like that will make a lot of sense, okay? One of them is a company based in Germany. And they bought an American company called International Harvester, Traton, T-R-A-T-N, it's owned by Volkswagen. So those are the things we like. In addition to that, there's a Spanish company called Televisa at $4.50 with 500 million shares outstanding, 2 billion market cap. I think you'll triple your money in 2 years.
You are a longtime friend of Warren Buffett. What do you see is his biggest success over his career?
Patience. Much like the Chinese. Think about 2,000 years. Don't think about 10 days. So he steps back and looks at the world and says, what's going to happen over the next 10 years? And that's what I call patience.
How do you evaluate the next generation of Berkshire Hathaway, the new leadership?
Well, that's a question they've asked me for 20 years. In the United States, people would retire at the age of 65. Warren is now 93. He's not going to retire, okay? He plays golf a little bit, So if in fact, whenever it happens, the board of Berkshire knows who's going to replace him. You got Ajit Jain, and he's done a great job in the insurance area. They brought on somebody to replace him. You heard today that an individual is the CEO in training.
How much do you still own Berkshire?
We bought Berkshire when I started the mutual funds, so our cost is about $2,000, maybe $3,000, maybe less, plus or minus, and the stock is $500,000 today. So if we sell it, our clients would have to pay a tax. So we like to keep it because otherwise, now some of our clients are pension plans and they don't pay the tax, but we'll still keep it. So we think it's okay.
If you ask Mr. Warren Buffett a question, what's your question?
Oh, I think basically, Warren, you've done a very good job at buying certain stocks. When do we see you buying entire businesses? Are prices coming down? And are the sellers becoming more realistic about a price to sell you their entire business? So instead of buying shares of Apple, buy an entire company.
Like an elephant size?
Well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, it could be anything. The last one he bought, we owned in advance, Allegheny, it was about $11 billion. That's, like you said, the 5 companies in Japan are worth $15 billion, but these are public stocks to get control of the company.